peruse Pull appeared to be confounded. Some are sufficiently large to chase us, yet the vast majority of the ones we live with are the ones who tamed themselves to benefit from the vermin that congregated around our initial settlements. In the long run, we just couldn't live without them. They actually chase us, however. It's more energetic and rather fruitless. Ashley giggled, and P was basically as befuddled as continuously, and nothing the people discussed seemed okay. Well, our young need to learn habits at some point. Ashley emerged from the water wearing a wetsuit that imitated the impact of his fur for the human and just stood a head taller than him. Don't we as a whole P had irritated the help work area for his interpreter since making first contact demanding it wasn't working. He needed to acknowledge the way that the people were. As a matter of fact, the ones not checking out, it wasn't simply her, the others were similar. They were all youthful by human norms, however. Even the more established ones were similarly as odd. The bigger male that appeared to appreciate talking with Ashley and was as of now noticing her had attempted to clarify mockery for him. Going over the logs with the interpreter, Tech, made them both sob in disarray. I ought to get to work. Your kin are anticipating building a high-rise, and I really want to ensure misconceptions are at least taught from the beginning to grin and gesture prior to carrying on, as opposed to requesting that people account for themselves. Ashley was going to answer when her communicator furiously cried at a similar time. Paul took a gander at the message alert. Yukok transport spotted transport class sending AIM to gather slaves and cautioning against resistance. What is this? Ashley asked, befuddled. The UK gathers captives to prepare to work. They need our kin in the water to support their off-world settlements. They train them youthfully, so they question nothing. P gobbled hard and gazed upward from his communicator to see Ashley upset, not resentful. His interpreter continued to let out words like anger and fury before demanding he was in outrageous peril. They are coming here. It was an explanation that Paul feebly gestured to affirm everybody tune in up slave raid approaching. Get the youthful in the night pool with no windows and one entryway. Once they are inside, move a storage in front to conceal the actual entryway and fill it with rocks. Pull looked as the minuscule human arranged about the rest. Stephen messaged the understudy program and forward each move we make so they can do likewise at different areas. Every other person snatch or make weapons and blockades once the otter are protected. Ashley went to Pull. Get your children and the staff into the night pool. Don't make any commotion and send no messages. Pull submitted to the harsh articulation that matched the decided glare of the overall he had met at first contact. Notwithstanding the energetic nature it had, it was packed, yet everybody was inside the night pool, and he before long heard a huge article move before the entryway. Minutes after the fact, the bangs of rocks being put inside rang out. Rocks that would have taken him and 3 others to move with a crane truck were being thrown around like nothing. Another alarm came, illuminating him. The boat had arrived at the clearing for the high-rise site, and recollecting his position, he signed into the nursery feed to check the cameras and see the people quickly moving about. They broke things, made things, and did things he didn't comprehend, needing to see more. He signed into the human organization and saw the messages they were sending and centered around Ashley assailants in the manner in which Ashley obstructed the way to dial them back. Get right up front so they can't shoot Ashley, no retreat, no acquiescence. Ashley and steal Ashley for the love of everything charming and cuddly Ashley, no kindness. P felt an unnerving chill down his spine. He could see the people preparing in the UK shake in the parcel where his transport stopped followed was horrifyingly spellbinding to watch the upstanding crabs collide with the blockades at the front entryway, anticipating that they should give way rather than they were constrained into a thin hole that appeared to be. Left deliberately, Ashley should have been visible on the camera and heard through the walls. The howl of her voice got down on the messages being gotten from different areas, recognizing flimsy spots as they were found. Shaft could see the people at the front responded in a flash, exchanging the headlines of their wounds. A portion of the weapons they utilized had been a security rail they tore from the wall and bowed, rehash, and repped L to break in a point where the rails his kin required welding devices to cut the people separated with strength. One of the corridors prompting the back entryway people had hung links between each side of a convergence and connected a pale to the center utilizing entryways they tore. Unique because of Jimmy Specialist Z7 for the story. Please look at him in the depiction underneath. Now on to the story. The Mola science chief had an issue, they had an issue that made another issue. The people had created FTL around 1,000 years ahead of schedule, as per the prescient models. Because of the absence of explicit components in their star framework, people shouldn't have had the option to do it at all. That was the principal issue. This prompted the unexpected need to pick what species the negotiator would initially contact. Like a large portion of the species in the system, the mola developed into crabs. This was the second issue. The primary made people wouldn't respond well to a chittering Goliath shrouded in a shell. Notwithstanding the psychopathic demise of worlders, the undeniably more hazardous species, but an undercover overview group committed the error of fiercely misjudging the importance behind a crab celebration at an oceanic town and requiring mental treatment for life once the recuperation group figured out how to find them mentally in the water. Itself a new contact, yet it completely missed the mark on information the people would need to be familiar with the universe. However, as the chief researched more, they understood that it was the main decision and trusted the negotiator they sent could concentrate rapidly. Paul was frightened, so he chipped in for the strategic corps since his kin were all the while figuring out how to conform to outsider life, and he needed to assist with encouraging that. Seeing that, unexpectedly, he was viewed as the most ideal decision since he had been quick to leave the star framework. It wasn't a legislator that made him a specialist. He needed to detest his bosses for doing this to him, yet he could perceive how unnerved they were. My kids are too youthful, he had said. They couldn't leave my significant other or me. Yet a great present to them was the answer to bring them 6 younglings, who were simply figuring out how to carry them to meet the people. They really appeared to be energized by the thought, as opposed to taking him off the task. His significant other wasn't a representative, however. He was feeling better when she proposed to cover the sciences in his stead, attempting to find the brilliant spot. How was she to do that while fighting 6 younglings? He didn't realize he shook as the boat moored, looking between the entryway and his better half, who shook as much from her dread as the portable mass of his youngsters in her arms. It was a bad dream. The isolated space had previously been cycled before they let him know it was a sealed area. They camouflaged it so he wouldn't take off until it was past the point of no return. He pondered the mola who approved the arrangement and who had been prompting his administration the entire time with respect to the people. Will work better compared to whatever other choice. That was what they had said. Pole watched the entryways open to uncover 12 people at the most distant side of a work area. Had they been nearer, they would have overshadowed him. His eyes broadened as he entered and climbed the means so he could arrive at the work area. His preparation was gone the second he understood he should welcome them, rather than a human who talked first and screamed, assuming that his social interpreter was working accurately. Little child space otters were one of the people who had been remaining behind the ones sitting at the work area. Abel hurried forward to remain at the work area. So dazed by the commotion, P and Fala couldn't prevent their invigorated younglings from leaping out of their arms and hastening across the table. The human hunched down, got one of the younglings, and held him to her face. The fur is so delicate. As indicated by the interpreter, P needed to respond, but was so bewildered by the manner in which the people tenderly focused on his young and the positive feelings the interpreter demanded the people were showing that he absolutely began on the main contact. Conventionally, the gathering went flawlessly in spite of the quarrel created by the people and the young little guys. Even the fighter, a general with an old, wilted face defaced by a long scar from one side of his jaw to his nose, let his one hand tenderly battle off the going-after puppy before him while harshly examining military matters. They should be sociopaths, that is what the record said, beasts with bad dreams who didn't actually mind when one of the puppies attempted to creep under their uniform cap. They look bad at. Pole, albeit altogether befuddled, needed to concede that his kin had been the most ideal decision to make first. His species being generally amphibian, yet at the same time comparable enough to the people, he let their designers help the people in sea residing, while the people showed them how to construct higher ashore trade programs, and people made an appearance in a wide range of spots. The nurseries were famous with youthful people hoping to have an undertaking off the world, and the entire reason the space trauma centers began expanding on the land was to safeguard. They protect their young from the dangers of the water. It was one of a handful of businesses, to a great extent, ashore, where people were most agreeable. That being said, people were shockingly able to swim in the water, and as P dropped his little guys off, he saw people swimming in the pools, not completely without effort, so their teeth did not hurt?" he asked the human, who was nearly overlooking a few assaults by the fiery little guys. "I'm used to feline chomps. These little ones have quite a ways to go to annoy me."